Hello, 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 and welcome to the Restricted View podcast.
Hello there. This is our first episode of what we hope is going to be a very long-lasting podcast about theatre.
And I promise I will work on my announcer voice that sounds like I'm auditioning to announce football matches for some reason.
Maybe one day, but not today.
Well, I don't like football, I like theatre.
Yes.
I hope you like theatre too, because we plan on this being your absolute number one show to go and get theatre news, reviews, discussion, etc., all the good stuff.
All that stuff. So shall we introduce ourselves to begin with?
I think everyone knows who we are. I think we're famous, aren't we?
Yeah, so, with our families, maybe. Yeah. Yes, we're not.
With our families, who will be the only listeners probably to this first episode.
Hi, Mum.
So I'm Chris.
I'm Deborah.
I don't always introduce myself twice. But you can call me Chris if you want to. And yeah, we basically started doing this because we always thought about doing a podcast on theatre because we love the theatre.
Yes.
And we go to a lot of shows. Maybe by some people's stance, it's not a lot.
Used to, unfortunately. I mean, the pandemic has kind of put a dampener on it for a while. We're hoping to get back to it very soon.
Indeed, but the reopening of theatres in the not too distant future is kind of what's made us think, well, this is the right time.
This is it, yes. And we thought that, the world needed another podcast.
Absolutely, always needs another podcast. I've only started really recently kind of really getting into podcasts. This is doubly exciting for me. But as I said, by a lot of people, but some people's standards, we possibly don't go to a lot of shows. But I think by the average person's standard, we go to quite a few shows. We the last couple of years before the pandemic, we saw about between 60 and 70 each year. And the year before, those were the first 2 years we started counting, because the year before that we realised we'd seen about 50. We're like, oh, if we'd seen just two more, we'd have seen one for each week of the year.
Yes, we should say as well that this is we live in London, so we go to West End shows mainly.
So we're immensely privileged in
very
access
privileged
to the theatre.
Yes, exactly. But kind of just to explain where we are in the world and what shows we'll be talking about most likely. Hopefully, we'll be able to travel again one day and explore, theatres in different cities of the world and, different productions. But for now, we're mostly restricted to the UK and especially like South.
That's why we call it Restricted View. That's not why we call it Restricted View. Yeah, I haven't been to Broadway in a long time. You've been to Broadway a bit more recently, Deborah.
Yes, I was in New York in 2017, I want to say. 2017. And I saw a few shows, actually. Yes. But I always kind of do my best to see a few shows there. That's where I first went. So I'm from Brazil, and that's my first big theatre production was on Broadway. So that's where I first saw Phantom.
Ah, doing it wrong from the start, I see. Whereas I'm from Ireland originally, and my parents just always loved originally musical theatre. They always loved musical theatre. So they used to take us to all the touring productions that came to Ireland, and they used to take us to the West End every year, pretty much, to see one or two shows.
Check a privilege.
And I even studied theatre actually in university, so I know how to talk rubbish about it.
Well, I have not studied theatre, but I have studied literature, and it's kind of the same thing.
But don't worry, this is not a highbrow show, as you can probably tell. But we'll get to you'll get to know us a little bit more over the coming episodes. We might even have a bit more time dedicated to it in the coming episodes. But that's a bit of an outline of who we are and what we do.
Yes.
And that's a subtle theatre reference for those of you who really like theatre.
He's really holding back to not start singing Hamilton.
I am actually. But I forgot to mention actually, when I said I originally started seeing lots of musical theatre, I studied theatre. The reason I brought that up actually, I ended up studying theatre in university. So I expanded my horizons beyond just musical theatre, and we Deborah and I go see a lot of all types of different theatre.
I think we started with musicals even as a couple as well,
yes,
kind of going to musicals a lot more, and then we developed this kind of love for plays as well, and found our new favorite playwrights and
interactive theatre and just all kinds of stuff.
Yes,
we've even been known to go to a random new ballet together just because it's
just kind of live performance. I think. We really love and really miss it. We'll definitely talk more about it in this episode, but yeah,
we do miss it.
Definitely miss it a lot.
And therefore, thank you very much for listening, because you are helping bring us back into that world, even just a little bit.
Yes. So shall we outline a little bit what the episode's about and what the podcast's about? Or
sure. Yeah,
shall we just dive into it? I'm not quite sure.
Oh, give us a brief outline. Go on, Deborah.
So hopefully, and this could change. I mean, this is a pilot. It could all change. But we're
it's
hoping...
a British pilot, not an American pilot, so it will be more similar to the finished product.
And by that it means rubbish. No, I'm joking. So we're hoping to bring you some news every week. So, I mean, we're not dedicated to news. I think you have a lot of outlets for news out there.
Also, it's a pre-recorded podcast, so it's not going to be breaking news. It's going to be more our take on news that's excited us or interested us in the last few days, last week. It could even be in the last month in the case of...
Yes, exactly.
If it was... I don't know, long enough since we recorded something.
Exactly.
Something that's not breaking, but worth talking about.
Exactly. And then we're always going to dedicate a section to reviews of either something current that is currently on, or something that we've seen maybe a couple of years ago that's coming back, or something that we're really just kind of desperate to talk about, even though it's not on at the moment.
And sometimes it might even be just a deep retro review of something that's never coming back and you've no hope of seeing, but we just really want to talk about it.
and I mean, considering how much theatre nerds we are, we know that there will be an audience for it. There's always an audience for these things.
There's always someone who saw that production of Martin Gare in the Watergate Theatre who wants to...
I think you went too far there. You lost half the audience now.
Hey, Craig Revel Horwood directed that, so that wasn't small fish. That was a...
And sometimes we're going to do lists, because we love a good list.
I love a list.
We love a list with our favourite shows, favourite numbers, favourite playwrights.
Numbers?
Yeah, in shows. No. Well, my favourite number is 7 and 17.
Mine's 13, so join us next time for our top 5 numbers. But yeah, and there's one of the sections we're hoping to do, which is basically going to be, I suppose for lack of a better term, a discussion section.
Yes. And, to talk about anything that interests us in the theatre world and theatre industry. Sometimes even like talking more in depth about some playwrights and some plays and some genres of theatre. Exactly. All those good things, because we both enjoy doing a bit of research, so I think they'll be fun and kind of stimulate us to read more into these things. So that's what we're hoping to do. And also lastly, but by no means not like least and less important, is our tip section, because we're hoping to be able to bring to you some of the tips we have accumulated over the years by going to the theatre and kind of just learning where the best seats are, and how to get the best price tickets, and also all that good stuff.
Yes, and my friend Jack said he really wanted theatre tips because he wants to start going to the theatre more. So I told him that we have a tip section in our upcoming podcast. We should put that right. We haven't scheduled that for right at the end, but we should put that right at the end to make sure Jack listens to everything.
Listen to it, Jack.
But yeah, with that said, I think it's probably time to move into our first proper section.
Ooh. So this week's incredible news and piece of news. Breaking news. No, well, it's not but we are very excited about it. Is the fact that theatres are reopening here in the UK. So we both know that things are very different. Depending on where you are in the world. With the pandemic, I mean, the past year has been very difficult. And for myself, I mean, I'm from Brazil, and I know that back home things are still very tough, and they're very far from all these things that we are managing, like being able to enjoy again over here. But where we are, things are improving. People are getting vaccinated. Get your vaccine. Get your vaccine when you're cold. This is a propaganda for vaccines.
Don't say that.
Hey, get your vaccine.
Although actually, I'm happy to be a shill if I'll advertise it if you give it to me sooner, so I can start going to more shows.
So theatres are reopening. Some theatres are starting on the 17th of March, I think. Of March? Of May. Sorry.
That's the first,
that's the first day when they're allowed to open.
Exactly. By the time you're listening to this, depending on when it's released, you may even have some shows already open.
Oh, yeah. And they will be opening. It feels like a very kind of staged reopening. It's kind of like slowly, and it's happening. Some theatres are reopening now. Some are reopening in June, then July, August, all the way up till the end of the year. Theatres will be reopening. And that's very exciting, because I don't think there's anything I've missed as much as going to the theatre during this past year.
Exactly. And it's a very small number of shows that are opening immediately. But more are going to be opening in the coming weeks. I know that off the top of my head, the Mousetrap's reopening. Six is reopening. Well, that's quite hard to get tickets for the next month or so.
Everybody's talking about Jamie.
That's
is reopening
on 7th of May. On 7th of March.
But it's opening. It's opening
shortly after.
On the 20th, I think.
Oh, it's really shortly afterwards. Okay, cool. And then in June, more stuff's going to start opening. Like Hairspray.
And this is bigger productions, I think we're talking about, because there will be other types of kind of live performance that will be happening, like comedy shows and all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
That will be happening straight away, I think, as well. So that is very exciting. So it's not super breaking news, but it's still news and still exciting.
Definitely. We already have our tickets to go see The Mousetrap and Amelie.
Yes.
In a couple, I think the first week they're open, or it's
Yes.
the second week they're open.
Super excited. I know theatres are taking every precaution, and I know that from having gone to a theatre last year when we were able for a very short period of time, we felt very safe.
Yeah.
At all times, and I think often safer than in shops, I guess. So
Yeah, obviously it's up to the individual if you feel comfortable to go yes, or you want to wait for a vaccine, or you want to wait for COVID restrictions to end entirely. Maybe you don't want to wear a mask in the theatre. I can see how that might impact your enjoyment to some degree. We found it didn't. But
No.
it's entirely up to the individual. But look, it's really exciting. The shows are starting to open again, and I can't wait to get back in the theatre.
yes.
Okay, and now it's time for our first section proper, the section we are calling From the Cheap Seats,
Ooh.
which is a reference to Neil Gaiman.
There's definitely a Neil Gaiman book of essays called The View from the Cheap Seats, which is very good, by the way.
Yeah, but we thought it went well with the Restricted View name for the channel.
And we have sat on our fair share of restricted view seats.
Exactly,
So
that's kind of which are the cheap seats. That's kind of the idea. So this section is the section we were talking about, which is kind of going to be lists and
reviews
and reviews and things like that. Mainly lists and reviews. We didn't want to start with a review because we haven't seen anything since last December, which was an improv show, which is never the same anyway. So we thought we'd start with a list, and we thought what more appropriate, this is actually Deborah's idea, which I think is a fantastic idea for an opening list, is the top 5 shows that we're most excited to finally be able to go and see when theatres reopen. That's a long title, I just realised. But it's, basically, as theatres now are reopening, what are we really excited to see? Now, this could be stuff that we have already seen, we can't wait to see again, or it could be stuff that we maybe didn't get to see pre-lockdown, or brand new stuff that is only literally about to open for the first time. And
Exciting.
It's a combination of all those things in certainly my list.
I mostly have things that I have not seen yet. Mostly, and by mostly I mean all of them.
I think I mostly do too.
We don't know each other's lists, by the way. We wrote those lists down separately, so this is exciting.
That's more for our excitement than for yours. I mean, it's all new to you, right? But it's, so without any what's the word for delaying? Well, any dilly-dallying, I suppose.
Further ado.
I didn't want to say that again. Without any further dilly-dallying ado, even though I've now just dilly-dallied and adewed for about 30 seconds.
Waffling, it's called.
My number 5. It wasn't waffling because it was basic structure. My number 5. This is my number 5. This is in no massive particular order, but there's an element of excitement. There was, when I was writing the list, there was a reason behind the order, but they're interchangeable. So what I've put in number 5 is Back to the Future.
Oh, really?
Yes, I thought this might surprise you.
It does, yeah.
But
Also it doesn't.
Really?
Yes, just because so Chris had never seen Back to the Future until very recently.
During lockdown, I watched the entire trilogy for the first time.
Yeah, so I did think you might want to go for it.
Yeah, because it's in my head now, right? And I really enjoyed it. Those films have held up really well. They're really entertaining. There's obvious problems. I mean, had it been made today, it would either be very different. Well, not very different. There'd be elements that'd be different, or it would, not do so well with our modern sensibilities. I'm thinking particularly
well, they are over 30 years old. They are. That makes sense. That things are different. I'm still a little bit
surprised that Biff does the things he does, and people are like, "Oh, it's just larks,"
Yes.
It's yeah. I mean, I'm possibly less sensitive to those things than you are. And when I was watching it, I was like, "That's weird. How is that okay?" But okay. Anyway,
yeah. Anyway.
So I'm curious to see how the inappropriate behavior of men is kind of depicted in the stage. They can't possibly do it.
It's mainly the inappropriate behavior of men towards women that you're talking about.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I thought that was implied. Sorry. Apologies.
No, it is, but I'm just making it clear.
Yeah,
because they can't see us.
Because they can't. That's true. They can't possibly do it the way it was. I'm assuming they're just going to make it really, really, just really ease
I think
off
it's very easy to change that.
Yeah, just make look, because men they're getting into really awkward area here.
Too
but
soon.
What I'm trying to say is, a man can be pushy without literally breaking the law. You know what I'm saying? A man can be depicted on stage or in a fiction as being overly pushy and like, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not cool. That needs to be fixed. And that's not the same thing as what he
No, he literally does it, right? Yeah.
And that's like, so yeah, you can depict that without it being super super dark. You can basically have a guy not understanding. I shouldn't say not understanding, because that implies.
Oh, he definitely understood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You can have a guy just not being cool and needs a smack, which is exactly what Biff gets. So you know. And that's the weird thing. That's what they were actually going for, because he gets the smack and he kind of does change his ways
a bit, yeah.
Right? Whereas, but like, if he was just not being cool, then that might happen. That a guy gets a smack and learns, but he's not just not being cool. He's being awful and evil.
Well, I think I definitely think they'll change it, and it's a musical, isn't it?
Exactly.
So that'll be fun, because you can excuse a lot of things when you burst into song.
But I've talked about the plot of Back to the Future film for far too long. The point is, I've never seen Back to the Future before. Now I really really like it, and I think it's going to be a really cool topic for really, it's going to make for a really cool musical. There's going to be a lot of flashing lights. I love flashing lights. I think there's going to be some really awesome effects. There are some very fun characters that will be exciting to see depicted on stage.
Like Doc.
Like Doc, exactly. Yeah. The wonderful Christopher Lloyd, who also voiced King Graham in the remake of King's Quest.
Nerd.
Christopher Lloyd's iconic as Doc Ock. As Doc Brown. I say that as someone who literally saw the film for the first time 6 months ago. But he is iconic. Even I knew that before I'd seen the films. And I just think it's gonna be a really fun show. Yeah, really, really fun.
I'm also excited about that. That's not on my list, however. Mm-hmm. My number 5 is that I was starting with number 5.
Yes. Sorry,
well, look, I didn't. I don't have an order, so it's in no particular order. I'm just choosing this
Deborah
one.
made the order literally while I was talking about Back to the Future.
Yes, literally. So, in a surprising turn of events, Neil Gaiman's being mentioned again in this episode. And it's not even about books, but it is kind of. So I'm very excited to see The Ocean at the End of the Lane, which is an adaptation of Neil Gaiman's novel, which I read many years ago, and then last year I had to reread it because I was interviewing a colleague who works with that and with that novel, and I kind of fell in love with it in a different way, and I'm very excited to see it. I think they'll do a great job. I think there's a lot of great material to do a great play of. And I think I believe it's the Old Vic. It was definitely the Old Vic when it was in the West End for the first time. And I love the Old Vic. And I think they put on some great adaptations of novels.
Have you seen this already? I thought you'd
seen
this.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't seen it.
I think I'm confusing it with a Monster Calls.
Oh, Monster Calls. Because that was exactly what I was referencing. That was very good. Yeah.
Because I was under the impression, I saw this advertised. And I was like, I think Deborah's seen this.
No.
Okay. No. So I'll have to go see this then. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Will I like it?
I think so. I think there's a lot of potential. It's a lot about kind of fighting your demons.
Okay, cool. That sounds good.
And it's good fun. But it does kind of more fantasy. There's some monsters, like literal monsters. Okay. Because it's Neil Gaiman. And I love Neil Gaiman, so...
I don't like Neil Gaiman, as it happens. Which is not as a human. I mean, I hear he's very nice. And he speaks very well of me, I hear. But no, I just don't... I've tried a couple of his books. And I just don't... I've never finished one of them.
I really like Neil Gaiman.
I used to think it was because I'm not a huge... I'm going to alienate so much the audience if I say this bit. I'm not a particularly big fan of Terry Pratchett either. I've read a few of his books. They're okay. It's just not for me. And I tried reading... What was it? What's the one they did together? Good Omens.
Good Omens.
And and for ages I was like, it must just be because I don't like... Maybe I do like Neil Gaiman. Maybe I just don't like this book because I don't like Terry Pratchett.
But you didn't like it.
I just don't like this style of humour. No, I just neither of them just for me.
I like it.
I have met the late great Terry Pratchett. I can acknowledge he's great, even if I'm not a big fan of his books. He is still wonderful.
Didn't he compliment your beard?
He complimented my beard. It was fantastic.
That's amazing.
He used to lecture in the university I went to.
That's your claim to fame.
That is my claim. I actually asked him, the question I think I asked him was something about the art of adaptation. I think I'd recently seen The Hogfather and was curious about some of the changes. But yeah, so that sounds cool. I'm excited to see that.
I'm excited to see it.
You've made me excited.
I think they'll, the production values are usually very high and it's always very good. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome.
Shall I go next?
Yeah,
with
sure.
my next one. Yes. So the next one, I am not quite sure when it's coming back at all. I know it is from looking on the website.
I know what this is now.
Do you?
I bet I can guess.
So I'm very excited. I was very excited last year to see this, even though I didn't have tickets for it.
Okay, I was wrong.
And I'm now very excited to see it when it reopens. It's a Doll's House by the Jamie Lloyd Company. Oh my god, yes.
I forgot they were going to make that.
Yeah, so I really like Jamie Lloyd. I think he does some great stuff. I mean, everyone's hit and miss. I think there's things that we didn't like as much, but, you know, things that we loved and we loved his version of. Like, for example, The Dumb Waiter that we saw a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. And I think he's a great director. I think he does have great ideas and he brings a lot of novelty and newness to the theatre. It's also very inclusive always, and he kind of... The company usually makes sure that you can get young people to the theatre, which is always very good. You know, they have lots of programs to get young people to the theatre.
Is the only thing from the Jamie Lloyd Company itself that I've seen his Cyrano?
No, but all of the Pinter plays.
Oh, they're all still his company?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So,
so I'm very excited for Doll's House. I've never seen it. I've heard great things. I am holding back from reading it because I don't think I would get the same from it.
I have read the script of Doll's House because I had to for university. And it's awesome. I really loved it. It's a great play. One of the very few plays that kind of came off the page.
And look, people, I know that people left the theatre because they didn't like the ending, or halfway through or something. I don't know.
No, they leave. It's towards. No, it's at the end. It's the end.
Yeah. So people
they didn't leave the theatre. They rioted.
They did. Yes.
That's my university lecture.
So, honestly, that makes me want to see it. I don't even care. I just want to see a play that made people angry.
I told you why they rioted.
Yes.
We won't spoil it in case people want to see it.
I'm excited about it.
It's a really old play, but you know, if you haven't seen it, why spoil it?
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, that would 100% would have made my list if I had remembered. I'd completely forgotten that was coming. So thank you for reminding me of that. That definitely would have knocked off something on my list because that's awesome. Doll's House is cool.
Let's take a moment, have a moment of silence for our bank accounts, which will suffer with all the theatre tickets we'll be buying.
No, not if you listen to our tip section. But yeah, so okay, my number 4. We're getting quite highbrow now with an Ibsen play because we're following it up with a new Tom Stoppard play.
Oh yeah, of course.
So that's quite a rare event in of itself. But yes, so this is Leopoldstadt, which is a play I was very excited to see pre-lockdown. It opened up for maybe a month or two. We hadn't got around to seeing it yet, but we were going to, and I am absolutely thrilled and very relieved it's coming back. Only for a couple of months, I think. Maybe I think August, September. I think it's closing then. Maybe it'll get extended, but at present it's only going to be open for a couple of months.
It might transfer as well.
It might transfer as well. But this was the world premiere of it. So I was like, oh wow, world premiere of a new Tom Stoppard play. This is a fantastic opportunity. I can't wait to see it. And then lockdown happened, which is very sad.
Boo.
So I'm so happy it's coming back. I don't even know much about it. I know it's about a family. I think it might be about multiple generations of a family.
Just some intense stuff on stage.
Yeah,
it's all we're about.
I'm just really excited to see it. I know absolutely nothing about it.
And I think for anyone who likes theatre, it's always very nice to see like a new production by a renowned playwright.
Yeah, there's a sense of occasion to it, and that's kind of why I was excited about it. And that excitement has now kind of been exacerbated by the fact that I thought I'd missed it, but it's coming back. So I'm really happy about that.
Exciting.
So back to you for your number.
No, I think it's your turn now.
Oh, we're doing a 1-2 punch again.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Go for it.
All right. I've never seen this done this way. Exciting. Okay, my number 3 is coming down a little bit from the sense of grandeur of a Stoppard and an Ibsen, but here's a funny one. Here's a funny one for this list. Singing in the Rain.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I've never seen it on stage. And I actually only found out about 3 or 4 days ago.
Oh, really?
That it's coming back.
Is it coming back to the West End?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. See, Deborah didn't know this.
Wow, I didn't know it. I saw Singing in the Rain many years ago when I came to London as a tourist, and it was brilliant. And I was very close to the stage. I got very good seats, and I got soaked.
Yeah, we might have to splash out on the cash for this one and get really good seats.
But it's such a fun show.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Especially if it's summer in the theatre with no aircon. You really just...
Especially if it's a new Wimbledon theatre. Shout out New Wimbledon Theatre, please get better aircon.
Or some fans.
Or some fans. But yeah, so it's just like I said, I've never seen it. I feel like not having seen the Rain on stage is kind of a bit of a gap in my theatre knowledge. I really feel I should see it.
Have you seen the film?
Never all the way through.
Oh, we should sit through it then.
I have seen I have
great
seen
dancing
lots of yeah, I've seen most of them. I mean, I know there's great numbers in it, all which I've seen from the film. You know, singing the rain itself. I think "Good Morning's" from my favorite.
Yeah.
I love that song, and I love the dance sequence.
It's just great. You know, do you remember?
Lots of brass instruments.
Do you remember
lots
Half a
of dancing.
Sixpence when they have the rain number as well at the end of the first act, and it's kind of like the same thing, but they splash you. It's not restricted to the stage.
That's the one disappointing thing now is that I've now seen rain depicted on stage loads of times.
Oh yes.
Ian McKellen's King Lear had it absolutely tipping down.
Uncle Vanya had it too.
Uncle Vanya had it.
Yeah.
Uncle Vanya did it really well actually. And what was the other one that had it?
Night of the Iguana.
Oh yeah, that was really good too.
That was good.
Yes, no, the rain effect on that was fantastic. Actually,
so good,
yeah. So maybe I'll probably be a little less impressed than.
Because all the tap dancing will be happening. It will not be less
impressed.
It'll
be slashing. So
yeah.
I'm just really excited. It's basically I've never seen it. That's weird to me. I'm glad it's coming back, and I cannot wait to finally catch Singing in the Rain.
Oh, that's exciting! And in the same kind of area of films that were very successful and were put on stage, I am very, very, very excited to see Moulin Rouge.
Oh my god, I've forgotten this.
I love the film so much, and I think it will be such a great night out at the theatre, just for what it is, for the theme, and it's a jukebox musical, Chris.
Yes, I'm assuming it's all the same musicals.
I assume
film, right?
so, yeah. So it's open on Broadway already. Well, not right now, but it has had its opening there. And it'll open here, I think, in the autumn. So I'm very excited. I mean, I've seen pictures of the stage, and it looks mind-blowing. It looks beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm very excited about it.
Ago.
Yeah. I'm just very excited. I actually need to go. Okay, sorry, I might have to go now and go see Moulin Rouge. I'm sorry, bye.
I'm not a huge fan of jukebox musicals, as Deborah kind of implied, but
he's wrong.
No, I'm just not. I just mostly rather see a show where the music was written for the plot rather than shoehorned in.
That's fair enough.
There's always a disconnect, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And the only one I really liked was We Will Rock You, and that's
because you love Queen.
Partly because I love Queen, but also because they made it. Just the story's so stupid because they realised this story needs to be stupid or else it will have a massive jarring disconnect. And Mamma Mia kind of tries that, but they don't fully commit to the stupidity of the story. And I think that's why it falls a bit short for me.
Maybe on stage because the film is perfect. and I will fight you.
I was dragged to see the second one in Brazil, I think. I saw.
Yes. I love Mamma Mia. I'm not that big fan of the stage show just because, I don't know, they're not in Greece and it's not Colin Firth. I don't know. But apart from that, and people can sing in the stage show, whereas in the film they can't. And I quite like that. I think that adds to it.
Don't tell Chris Brosnan he can't sing.
I think he knows.
Yeah, the point I was making, though, is I'm not usually a big fan of jukebox musicals, but I remember really enjoying the Moulin Rouge film. And I think I'm going to be absolutely fine not worrying about the fact that it's a jukebox musical while I'm seeing that. Also, I think it did do the film anyway quite a good job
of inserting the music.
Of inserting the music, and we'll see how the stage show does.
And I think it'll be quite a big spectacle as well.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Like with lots of acrobats and all that. That's what I'm hoping anyway. I don't actually know.
I can't believe we've had no crossover yet. Mostly because I've forgotten two of yours were a thing.
Yes. Shall I go for the next one then?
Yeah, what number are we on? 2.
We are number 2 now.
Yeah, go on, you do number 2.
So my next one is actually a show that we now have tickets for. And I am super excited to see. It's Hairspray. Because, one, I have never seen it. I have never even seen the film. It's all brand new. And also because I'm Michael Ball. I love Michael Ball. I'm very excited to see it.
Yes, and if our friends Jules and or Rob are listening, we're very sorry, but we love Michael Ball.
We do love Michael Ball.
And you are wrong. Yeah, well, again, we do have tickets for this, as you say. I have seen the film Hairspray.
I intend to see it before I go, I think.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoy
I like
it.
knowing the music.
Michael Ball as well.
Yeah.
No, he's good at it.
Is he? Okay.
Well, I liked him. I enjoyed John Travolta.
He can dance, I guess.
John Travolta can sing and dance. John Travolta's quite talented.
Yeah.
He
just forgets names of people.
That was so long ago. That was so long ago. John Travolta, he was good at what he did.
He was. He is. He's alive still. He hasn't died.
Well, I'm assuming he's lost the ability to dance and sing quite to the same standard as he once did.
Maybe.
I wouldn't like to see him playing Danny Zuko now. Well, actually, you know what? I would. For entirely different reasons. But yeah, it's cool. That's kind of almost like a Singing in the Rain one. It's kind of just a really, really fun, upbeat, awesome classic show.
Yeah,
with a
so
star that you're really excited to see.
I think there's this trend now, and I've been reading about this, that after lockdown, people are starting to want to dress more colorfully, like with more colors in their clothes and everything, because they've been so depressed for the past year. And I think it sounds like Hairspray is the perfect antidote to a year of lockdown, you know, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, well said. I think that's probably true. Okay, well, my number 2 is one that I kind of... it probably shouldn't be the number 2 slot, frankly. It probably should have been the number 5 slot, actually. But I'm less excited about this than I am about Back to the Future, funnily enough. But I feel I should be more excited about it. It's hard to explain. I feel oddly about this. It's Cinderella.
Oh, nice.
So here's the thing. I don't know any of the music from this at all. I haven't heard any of the songs. I think one of the songs has been released, but I haven't listened to it. I quite like Carrie Hope Fletcher. I've seen her in a couple of things.
Yeah, she's very good.
She's pretty good. And I have a hit and miss relationship with Angela Weber. But Angela Weber, we haven't had a new show from Angela Weber in quite a while. I mean, we haven't. So the last new Angela Weber show I saw, kind of like the premiere, not the first night, but the premiere production of, was The Woman in White back in 2004.
Wow.
Yeah. Then he did Love Never... Well, I really liked The Woman in White, by the way, and subsequently...
Yeah, it's actually quite good.
Yeah. I like it. It didn't do very well, unfortunately. But then he did Love Never Dies, which I never saw because I didn't agree with the concept of it, frankly. And which is kind of, maybe that's a dumb reason not to. We were planning to go see it's coming back.
Look, I would go see it. Yeah. I would go see it if it were here, like if it was back.
It was going to come back before lockdown, and if it does indeed come back, I'll
but it's just one of those shows that I'm not quite sure why. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm not sure.
And then he did. What was it? He produced Wizard of Oz, but he didn't write the music.
And he produced School of Rock as well.
Yeah, well, which
is kind of advertised as the new Lloyd Webber show, which is
it was because it turned out it was because he did write the music for it. The original of the film was a jukebox, I believe. Which I was when we saw the show, I was under the impression that because I hadn't seen the film, I was under the impression the film had written the original music.
Oh, I see.
But it turned out it hadn't. So he did actually write the music for School of Rock.
He did, yeah.
But I don't know, for some reason, because it's based on another musical film, I just didn't see it as this new Weber in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was. It was. He also did Stephen Ward in 2013, which was about some sort of political affair, which my parents saw and actually really liked because they remember the incident happening, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
For some reason, I just really didn't. It was only open for a few months.
Oh wow! Okay.
It closed really quickly. So this is the first Weber at all for 6 years. And it's the first kind of, in my opinion, the first big new Lloyd Webber since Love Never Dies in 2010. Yeah. And that's kind of, a bit like the Tom Stopper thing, that's quite an event.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You know, a big new, flashy Lloyd Webber show in a big theatre with a star, with a big lead, based on a classic story like Cinderella.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, there's this tradition of kind of writers creating their own version of Cinderella, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do because Cinderella is just one of those stories that I find very hard to I think it's very hard to adapt to our audience nowadays because it's just very, if you think about it, it's very shallow. And there are other fairy tales I think that are easier to adapt, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do with the character because apparently it's a very different version of Cinderella, very different from like Disney's version, so it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason I'm kind of was saying I don't know why this is number 2 is basically I don't even know why I'm excited about this. I think it's just because I feel it's going to have a great sense of occasion to it being a brand new Lloyd Webber show.
Yeah,
definitely. Maybe we'll dress up a little bit smarter than usual to go to it and stuff like that. But this one also I think has the most potential of all the things on my list for me to not like.
Oh, okay. I think it'll just be fun. It's just one of those that
was hit and miss. It could be bad. So we'll see.
We'll see.
So have you done your number 2 yet?
I've done my number 2. My number 2 was Hairspray. So we are on the last one.
Who wants the number 1 first then?
Oh, you go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
Okay. My number 1, drum roll please, is the only show I've already seen.
Oh.
So the reason it's number 1 is because it's one it was easiest to get most excited about because I've already seen it and I know how good it is and I can't wait to see it again. And that is Mischief Theater's Magic Goes Wrong.
Oh my goodness, yes. That is not on my list, but it's definitely... I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see it again, definitely.
So we've already seen this twice with the original cast.
And that was one of the last shows we saw before the pandemic hit as well.
It was, yeah. Yeah, and I was meant to see it when, with a friend of mine, when we were actually abroad when the pandemic really kicked off. We had to come back early, unfortunately.
Yeah, we were in Brazil.
Yeah. and I was meant to see it a few days after I got back from Brazil. Deborah was meant to stay behind for a little bit longer, but then by the time we got back, obviously the theatres were all closed, sadly. So I missed the opportunity to see it for a third time. And the reason I'm so excited, A, because I love it, B, because we love Mischief, and C, because the original cast is apparently coming back for at least a limited time.
That is exciting.
Even though when the pandemic kicked off, they were literally in rehearsals training the new cast to take over.
Yeah.
And I think some of them had already taken over. I think actually by the time I saw it with my friend, we were going to have one of them already replaced.
Yes, I think you would do, yeah.
So they were literally had begun the process of replacing the original cast with the new cast. So because the original cast, for those of you who don't know Mischief Theater, are the original cast includes the writers of Mischief, includes all the main kind of core team who workshop all the ideas.
Yeah.
So they need to be free and go off and work on the new Mischief project, and or product, however you want to look at it. So the fact that they're coming back is really exciting for me. All the original cast I love, in particular like Dave Hearn as I can't remember his name.
The Blade.
The Blade, and Henry Lewis as the
Mind Mangler.
As the Mind Mangler. Absolutely, almost irreplaceable. I mean, look, Mischief's cast are always great, but I will go back and see it a fourth time to see the new cast. I want to see. Yeah. I mean, look, Henry Lewis and Dave Hearn, all of them, but particularly those two, very much made those characters their own.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're going to be replaced. And I cannot wait to see it again.
Yes, I didn't put it on my list, but it's definitely something I'm very excited to see as well, because I love Mischief. I think Mischief have been one of those things that kind of kept us going during the pandemic, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But yeah, so they're so funny, and Magic Goes Wrong is such a good show as well. Like, it's actually magic.
Possibly their best one.
Oh,
of the Goes
wow!
Wrong
That is a thing. That's a big thing to say. So the last one, it's not the last one I'm excited about, but the last one on my list, and I think we should definitely do some honorable mentions that didn't get talked about.
So many.
The last one on my list is La Belle Savage. La Belle Savage is an adaptation of Philip Pullman's the first book of Philip Pullman's new trilogy set in the world of his Dark Materials. I'm a big fan of those books, and I didn't get to see his Dark Materials when it came out. Northern Lights, I think it was. They did, like, many years ago. There was an adaptation of that.
Which my friend who I mentioned I was going to go see Magic Goes Wrong with got to see.
Oh, so jealous.
Yeah.
But so I didn't get to see that, but I am so excited to see it. I think the Bridge Theatre are known for putting out really good productions of things. Like, we saw the Chronicles of Narnia. It was Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, wasn't it?
We did.
A few years back, and it was wonderful. It was such a great show to see, especially during Christmas time. They made it interactive in a really fun way.
Yeah.
It's just really nice. I think production values are really high, and I'm just
nice
excited
as well.
Yes, and I'm very excited to see that story on stage. I don't know how it'll adapt, how it'll work. I have no idea.
Lots of water, I imagine.
Lots of water, yes. Again, it's a theme.
It's a theme.
I am excited. Yes, again, I'm just looking forward to it. I had tickets for it last year. Unfortunately, didn't get to see it. So I'm hoping I'll get to see it this year. I think it's opening towards the end of the year, like late autumn, I think. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see that.
To give you a hint of how excited Deborah is for this show, when the pandemic hit, we had, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 shows booked. And this was the only one that she didn't refund. She was like, no, that's fine. Keep your money. Just give me a seat when you have one. And
yeah.
that lasted for a long time. And eventually they were just like, no, we're just going to refund everyone.
Yeah, I think eventually I got the refund, because I also didn't know if it was opening again. We didn't know what was going to happen.
But everything else, we just refunded straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I'm excited about this one too. I mean, I've read the original trilogy, his Dark Materials, and obviously we've watched the first 2 seasons of the adaptation of the
it's
TV
brilliant.
show. The Golden Compass film we also tried to watch was genuinely so terrible we couldn't finish it. It's rare for a film to be that bad. That film bankrupted New Line, apparently. It was so badly received.
Really?
Yeah.
And they have such great actors in it as well.
Apart from Daniel Craig. I'm not I did not like Daniel Craig as Lord Asriel. I love James McAvoy.
James McAvoy is great. But everybody likes James McAvoy.
I like James McAvoy full
Kinda
stop,
cheating,
but he's
yeah.
really good at Lord Asriel.
He is a very good Asriel, yes.
He was well cast.
Yes.
I like the girl playing Lyra as well.
Yes, she's perfect.
And Will was very good too. It's a good cast.
It's just a good, good.
It's a good TV show. Check out the BBC adaptation of His Irish Hills, if you get a chance. But yeah, so I've read it, the original. I haven't read the new one. I do intend to. I kept saying I'd read the book before we still play, so this is giving me extra time, which is nice.
Yeah, it's super chunky.
But yeah, so I like but so yes, I haven't read this, but I have read his previous work, which I enjoyed. So I'm excited to see this.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I think just before we move on, I'd just like to mention a couple of shows that didn't make the list, but I think are honorable mentions. We won't go into them for very long.
No crossover. That's insane.
It is crazy, but that's how
nice,
that's how we go bankrupt, because we want to see different shows.
Yeah. Basically, our life is just dragging each other to different shows in the theater.
Yep.
Not dragging, but.
So my honorable mentions are Dear Evan Hansen, which I haven't got to see yet.
That's the first bit of crossover. My first
goodness.
honorable mention is Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to see that. How many times have I said I'm very excited? I'm very excited to see a lot of things.
In fairness, this section is about things we're excited to see.
I know, but I could just choose different words, couldn't I?
I'm on tenterhooks to see Dear Evan Hansen.
Yes. So Dear Evan Hansen is one I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't it make your list?
I don't know. I guess that other things I am more looking forward to, and I am less reliant on them being there for longer.
Sure.
They feel like they're like I have a very short window of opportunity to see them, I guess, even though it might not be the case, but I just kind of feel like Dear Evan Hansen will just stay for longer. So I have more time.
I mean, I've heard great things about Dear Evan Hansen, and I've seen one of its songs performed at a concert. In the Hammersmith Apollo. I can't remember, it was Best of Rock Music, it was called. Which was fine. I wasn't massively keen on the song.
Well, it's hard when you don't have any context.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But the point is, my only experience with the show, I wasn't totally enamored with. I've just kind of heard it's really good. And I've kind of basically, but essentially, the reason it didn't make my list, even though it's a massive new show that we haven't seen yet, is I've effectively just been told I should be excited about it.
Yes, it's a bit what happened with Hamilton for you, I think.
Yeah, I didn't care about Hamilton at all, because I just.
And now he will not shut up about it.
Yeah, so exactly. This could be a new Hamilton. This could be another
It could be, yeah, it could be.
But effectively, that's why I'm not massively excited, and why I only made the short list, because I feel like I haven't become excited. I've been told I should be. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to mention a quick honorable mention as well. Hairspray was on honorable mention this, which we've talked about already. Mary Poppins.
Oh yes.
Which we've already seen with the wonderful Charlie Stemp.
Love Charlie Stemp.
It's look, I'd never seen it before, and we loved it. It was fantastic. We saw the Prince Edward Theatre with my parents, and it was absolutely brilliant. And it was so good that basically I just want to see it again before it goes away, and ideally before Charlie Stemp stops tap dancing.
We are very much Charlie Stemp stans in this household.
Stans?
We're fans.
Oh, okay.
He's not Chris is not on the internet.
But I do have a podcast.
But yes, we're big fans. I think we'll probably just go see whatever he does. If
Charlie Stemp is doing a dance, I'll go see it.
Yeah, he is so good. Yes, Mary Poppins is exciting.
Did you make your short list?
I don't have it written down, but it's definitely something that
I have one more thing on
looking
short
forward
list.
to. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, the last thing on my short list is Anything Goes, which is kind of for a similar reason of Singing in the Rain. It's just another big classic, musical which I'd never seen.
Yeah,
a gap in my knowledge.
Excited about that too.
It's a really fun show. It's got some good songs. I'm trying to remember what's the opening song? I'll do any. I can't remember the name of it. That famous opening song that she sings. It's got obviously Anything Goes itself. The song. Anything goes. I shouldn't sing on this podcast. We'll get a copyright strike. But yeah, so it's just a kind of a classic, nice show. I'm looking forward to seeing. And it's got an all-star cast. Got Robert Lindsay,
Felicity
Kendall. Yeah. Gary Wilmot, is that his name? I forgot.
Yeah, it's a big one, and it's a very short run of that as well.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's good. So another one that I have written down, and didn't make my list for some reason. It's just because there are so many shows, I think. But it's, I guess, the same reason why Dear Evan Hansen didn't make the list, because it's one of those that I think could just live in that theatre for a long time. It's Frozen. Very excited to see that.
That's so funny. You're quite right, but I literally hadn't thought about that. Frozen didn't come to my mind, but I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I like the cast. All the cast announcements. Samantha Barks is in that. Really so there's lots of good people in the roles, and the guy whose name I now forget, but the guy who played George Washington in the original West End cast is playing Christoph. Oh, I literally saw his name the other day. Yeah, exciting. And Oliver Morrison, I think, is playing Hans. So, yes, it's really great cast. And I know they have done a big refurb of the theatre as well, of the Drury Lane. So excited to see what it looks like now and if the toilets are better, because that is always a concern. Am I right, girls?
Is it Obioma Ugola?
Yes.
Obioma Ugola. Okay,
Yes.
Cool.
It's him.
Cool. Yeah, he was really good. He's very. I think I couldn't misremember. I think he sounded very operatically trained.
Yeah, he was a very good George Washington in Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Frozen too.
Yes. So I think that's it. And I actually wrote down another thing. I'm just going to say it very quickly.
Go for it.
Which is anything anyone puts on by Tennessee Williams, I'll go see. And I'm excited by that. I love Tennessee Williams.
And there's the Tennessee Williams play.
Yeah, there's a new one it was announced today. But yeah, exciting things ahead.
That is dating when we're recording this podcast, potentially, if you want to really look into it. Cool.
Hopefully another one will be announced and they'll never know.
Awesome. Well, that's what we're most excited about. Hope you guys are too.
So now we're going to talk about our tips. Or actually, this is our tip section, and it's going to be one tip for today, which is our favorite ever theatre tip.
Yeah, gotta keep you guys coming back. So one tip a day. This is you, Jack. But this is a big one, right? This is like a really generic tip, but it's also a big one. A lot of people who are listening may already know this.
And people who we're friends with, which are probably the only people listening, probably already know about this because we keep going on about it.
Yes, but if if we've become big and famous by episode 209, and you're looking back at our old stuff, and you've listened to 209 episodes of a podcast about theatre.
Thank you.
And you somehow still don't know about this, then you're in for a treat.
Well, I found that people do go to the theatre a lot and they don't know about it. It is quite common. So
absolutely.
There you go.
So would you like to do the honours of telling us what the big tip is?
Well, the big tip is Seatplan. Ooh.
.com.
Seatplan.com. The link will be in the description, as with all the things that we mentioned here.
And it's also in a way an advertisement, not for Seatplan, but sort of for Seatplan, but not like a push to get not only to use Seatplan, get involved in the Seatplan community, because Seatplan is as good as its community. It's essentially a website where every theatre in
London,
certainly in London, and possibly, and I think beyond as well. Yeah, it definitely
might be other places in the UK. Yeah.
Basically, every seatplan's up there, and you can review individual seats and upload the photograph of your view from that seat. And we find it absolutely, what's the word? Incredibly useful. What's an impressive word for incredibly useful? Couldn't live without it.
Could not live without it. Every
useful.
time we book a seat, every time, even when we're doing kind of rush tickets on Today Ticks, and that's a spoiler alert for a tip in the next episode. But even then, we always check the Seatplan to see if the seats are decent, if it's worth the money, what people have to say. It's just great. I mean, the good Samaritans of the internet have done it again.
Yeah, so get involved and start uploading your pictures of your view and reviewing.
It's super useful. It's useful for anyone. Like, usually, it's very hard to tell, and the websites and theatre websites are not very clear with how restricted something is, because sometimes the restricted view is just you're going to miss a little bit of the stage, and sometimes it's literally a pillar in front of you. So it's nice to have this.
Are even slightly bigger. Sometimes restricted view, in my experience, is quite literally not restricted whatsoever.
Very true.
And other times it is you're looking at a pillar, not at the show.
Yes, very true.
And look, Seatplan. There's this picture on Seatplan of a pillar, and people saying don't buy the seat. And they shouldn't. And if everyone uses Seatplan and we stop buying that seat, the theatre will finally rip that damn seat up and stop having the audacity to sell it for 30 quid. Get a grip, theatre selling seats behind pillars for 30 quid. At the very least, look, stick in if you want and call it a listening seat for £3.
I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah, get in a Seatplan, guys. Absolutely fantastic resource, and it's as strong as we, the community, make it. We do not review on it nearly as often as we should, so that's a wake-up call for us as well.
Definitely.
Okay, and so the final section of the show, which we are calling Far Too Many Notes, because we do have too many notes, which is another theatre reference for those of you who are in the know, is a much more chill and relaxed section, because it's basically just discussion, as we said at the top of the podcast, about something that interests us. And we thought that a really good topic to have a brief chat about before we tie up this podcast this episode is basically about the essentially about the pandemic and its effect on the theatre and the arts. I'm not going to talk about the pandemic itself, hopefully, but too much. We're going to focus on the arts part of it, because I don't want to be depressing and talk about the pandemic itself. But essentially, how the theatre reacted, how it was affected by lockdown, how it reacted to it, and the despicable lack of support for the arts from the government. Not to get too political, but
it's impossible not to. I think we all speak from a standpoint, and that standpoint is always political. So
there's always a political element to such things. But yeah, so like I said, this is a chill section. We've not. I say we've far too many notes. This is probably the one section that doesn't have that many notes, because it is just meant to be
they're mental notes.
Yeah, sure.
They exist.
So, first and foremost, I just want to briefly say that if you agree and think that the lack of support has been terrible, even though theatres are starting to reopen and things are going to hopefully start improving soon, basically every theatre in London, and I assume every theatre in the world, has the ability to make donations. If you want to, basically, if you go on to almost any on the website of any theatre, they all have a donate section. So if you want, that's something you'd like to do, then please do.
Yes.
The arts definitely have struggled over the last year. I have my brother-in-law is a sound engineer, for all sorts of people, and his work basically just disappeared. He went from being one of the top sound engineers in the country to essentially having no work, which is he's self-employed, and the government just doesn't care, basically.
Yeah, and I think we don't know what the situation is in other countries. We know that here the government was very happy to bail out airlines, but not very happy to support the arts. So I find that very tough.
I kept getting very mixed messages and not really committing to anything, or just...
Well, yes, I think the lack of clarity was one of the biggest problems, especially concerning, I think, insurance. I don't fully understand these things, but I think if they couldn't do certain things, and they couldn't plan things, because the insurance, they didn't have the security that they will be able to pay that back, or to have that support. And I think that was terrible for theatres. That was terrible for actors and producers and everyone involved in the arts. And if we think about it, it's not just even the people we see on stage, but there are so many people working backstage. Whenever you go to the theatre, you have front of house, and you have people working at the bar. All these people were jobless and were left to to do their own thing when there was no source of income there.
Yeah, and the reason, by the way, that I don't I haven't offered the name of a umbrella charity that you can support the arts is because twofold. One, I'd rather if you guys wanted to donate to the arts in response to this, then I'd rather you guys chose one that you thought was appropriate rather than being told. And a quick Google search will show you lots of different arts charities available who help fund the theatres. But also, I actually used to work in the charity industry, and trust me, the more direct a donation, the fewer people involved, the better. So donating directly to a theatre, especially if theatre is the area of arts you're really excited about and really love, as it is for us, that would be the best way to do it. Pick a theatre that maybe a smaller theatre that's really that is going to be struggling as a result, and just make a small donation.
And another way to help, I think, is also booking tickets, even if you don't feel comfortable to go now, which is totally understandable. You can go. Hopefully, things will keep improving here in the UK, and we'll be able to go more securely and feel more secure when going to the theatre. And then maybe you can book for later on. You can book for November, December, when things are hopefully going to be a lot better. So I think just the booking. A lot of theatres are more flexible with cancellations and changing tickets and all that. So I think most of them give you a lot of guarantees, like if you can't make it, if something happens, which wasn't the case before, and it's actually a good improvement that you have this flexibility. So do make sure to book tickets because maybe donating is not possible, but
absolutely.
I think booking tickets actually, it helps, and it also kind of shows the producers that we want to see those shows, that people are excited. So there's a lot that it creates buzz around it. So that's...
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. And absolutely no pressure whatsoever to donate, because, look, everyone's been affected by the pandemic negatively. Everybody. It's actually the worst time probably to start donating to something.
Maybe not Jeff Bezos, but,
Sure. But yeah, so the best way that's just an option I wanted you to be aware of because the arts have struggled. But if you really want to support them, as Deborah says, don't donate, just buy tickets and go see some shows again.
Yeah.
Get out there again as soon as you're comfortable with it. If you're not
Of course,
comfortable
yeah.
going yet, that's fine. But get booking for some shows in advance, maybe for the end of the year when you think things are going to be. Well, as Deborah says, you can rebook. They'll reschedule.
Yeah, they'll definitely reschedule, and I don't think there's a lot of questions asked. I think they'll just reschedule if.
Exactly.
If
we don't want
so.
to suggest you should lie and say you have COVID when you don't to get a rebooking. But at the end of the day, if you've booked to support the arts, and then when push comes to shove, the day arrives and you're like, I'm not comfortable going into that crowded theatre yet, then call up and say and like I said, I wouldn't want to encourage you to lie, but just call up and say, hi, I'm for COVID reasons, I'm unable to make this booking. Can I please rebook?
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be flexible, and yeah, I think we all have our different kind of timing when it comes to what we are, we feel comfortable doing now. So
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, Deborah and I are very excited to go. Obviously, slight element of apprehension, but we're very excited to go back and go. And we'll let you know how our experiences go.
Exactly. Yeah, we haven't even booked that many things. We booked a few things. We also kind of want to see how things go and how comfortable we feel, because there's also that element of
these are
not
be
knowing.
Social distance, but although hairspray might not be.
We don't know.
We don't know.
we have tickets for hairspray for the for opening night, so that'll be exciting.
That is exciting. But yeah, so just to kind of bring it on to maybe the slightly happier element of the lockdown and the way theatres dealt with stuff, stuff like the show must go on, National Theatre streaming shows, and stuff. There was a lot of free stuff being streamed.
A lot of free stuff. I think the National Theatre did such a good job of releasing big productions on YouTube. So it was a limited time, so it was there I think for a week every time. And they did the premiere, and they kind of just got people talking about it. It was very exciting. I confess that I find it often difficult to watch things online, especially like theatre. I think the live element of being there is a very important factor for theatre. I did, however, I watched some of Jane Eyre on YouTube. It's a National Theatre production.
Seen that,
I had already seen it. It was a production I absolutely loved, and if it's put on again, I'll be going to it again because it's brilliant. And I also watched A Streetcar Named Desire, which I had never seen, but as you probably noticed, I love Tennessee Williams, and I did want to have a go at it. It's a newfound love. It's not very old. I haven't seen all of his things. I actually haven't seen that many things, but I really wanted to see it. It was a production with Gillian Anderson, and oh my goodness, I forgot her name. But yeah, it's just Vanessa Kirby.
That's an interesting point. That I actually deliberately chose not to watch A Streetcar Named Desire with Deborah because I've also never seen it. Excuse me, but I really want to, and I did not want my first experience of it to be online. Well, not online, but a video, because like Deborah said, that you missed the kind of the liveness of it, right? I think the main problem I have with recordings of shows is when they just stick a camera in the room and expect that to work. Like Hamilton also came out, the video on Disney Plus during the lockdown, and I really enjoyed that
it was very
video,
well done, yeah,
because they got a video team and a video director to come in and make it a video.
Yeah, so most of the National Theatre ones I think were also like that, but not to the same extent. So they had more than one camera, but not.
I mean, Hamilton had lots of cameras some on the stage. They've recorded it with
on different days as well.
They recorded 2 nights, I believe it was, with live audiences.
And without
that would be for wide shots and for audience reaction and all that kind of stuff. And then they just did recordings just by themselves.
Yeah, that's how they get the great close-ups and
exactly.
Everything.
So and it's edited very well, so you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
it's really well done. And the 1990, I want to say 8, the 1990s Cats did the same thing. I actually don't think they used an audience at all. No, they didn't. They just did it in the stage, on the stage in the theater with the actors. They just did as many takes it took to get it really, really good. And that was also excellent for that reason. And they clearly had a team who knew what they were doing when it comes to directing and lighting
Yes.
a video, not a stage show.
Yes, they're different things.
Yeah, it's essentially it's an adaptation, right? When you're filming,
Almost, yeah.
It's like you can't just.
It's a different media, isn't it? So medium.
No, exactly.
So you're seeing a different thing. Even though I really enjoyed the production of Streetcar Named Desire, I think I missed out on quite a lot by seeing it on YouTube, because that particular production had a revolving stage, and I think we can interpret that in many ways, and believe me, I have tried, but it kind of obviously detracted from it, because I kept seeing those walls, and sometimes you didn't see the actors because you saw the wall in front of you, and if you are actually there, I think even though there's a revolving stage, it'll be different. Having said that, I think the fact that these productions are being made available is a wonderful thing. Speaking as someone who came from a country where, there is theatre, but there is not as much theatre as there is here, and sometimes the theatres, even here, I think in the UK, if you think about it, sometimes theatres are localized to like London, to the big cities. It's so nice to have access to these productions. So I think kind of it breaks down the elitist aspect of theatre. But obviously it's not it's not the full experience, but it is some of the experience. You can have some of that, a taste of that. You know.
There's definitely a phenomenological element to live theatre that is absent from recorded theatre, even when it's done as admirably as the Hamilton recording or the 90s Cats recording. There's still a phenomenological aspect that you miss out on. Which is a pity. But I
think it's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's just theatre. It's the way theatre works.
It's the way theatre works. But the one thing that's for sure is you cannot simply chuck a camera in the room.
No, you shouldn't anyway.
And have no changes to the lighting, and because the lighting's for the stage. They've had the lighting designer come in and design lighting for it to be viewed in that room, not through a lens.
And even the sound.
And if you're going to leave the lighting exactly the same, that's not going to work properly.
No.
It's as simple as that.
Very true.
What you said, even the what? Sorry.
Even the sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Was made for the stage as well, and even sometimes depending on the play, they might not have microphones, so it's very different how you're going to pick that up.
Sound team, at least you meant to like even the BBC proms, for example, my brother-in-law I've mentioned has often done the sound in the hall for the proms, but then if you look at the BBC credits, he's not listed there because that's the BBC TV sound engineer who's listed in the credits.
Interesting.
Because it's a different thing.
It is.
You can't just chuck a camera in the room.
But look, it was kind of a lifeline, I think, for many people, to have that theatre there. For it to be available. It's your choice if you watch it or not, I guess. But it's nice, and some theatres are still doing it. And honestly, I actually hope that they keep doing it. There are productions exactly, and it'll make it accessible to so many people who will never have had the opportunity to see it. So it's better to see a version that is maybe not the 100% version on stage than to never see it. So it's a good thing that it's there.
The one thing that I did enjoy, which we kind of referenced earlier on, we knew we were going to talk about briefly, was I'd say that's the one thing I enjoyed, because I did enjoy some of the others. I just felt they missed out on a certain liveness, as I mentioned. But the Mischief Movie Night, I think, was a great lifesaver for us.
Mischief Movie Night in.
Sorry, Mischief Movie Night in, yeah. So actually, I mentioned we saw an improv show last December, which was, I think, the third or fourth time seeing it, which is Mischief Movie Night. Which is basically where the team from Mischief Theater do an improv show based on they basically do a movie based on your suggestions. The audience gives suggestions for genre, for title, for I can't remember. For
awards the film would have won.
Yeah, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And they put together this hilarious, ridiculous improv film. And they started doing it online.
Live,
live streaming. They called it Mischief Movie Night In. So you basically you could buy tickets. I think they were £15 to partake, where you got to have a brief chat with one of the writers from the team, with Jonathan Sayer.
Oscar.
Have a brief chat with him, and then you'd be amongst the people who could be called upon to give suggestions, shout stuff out.
Yeah.
Or you could pay £10 just to watch it.
Yeah, we've done both.
We've done both. Yeah, we've done both. I've even had one of my suggestions put on stage in a live show as well.
Yeah, I had my suggestion put on
you-
now. Yeah, in
did indeed.
the previous
And
the
you
last
them,
one.
You made them all very happy because they really wanted to do a period drama. They said. So yeah, it was. And the thing is, right, because it is a
Unique
unique
and live.
and never going to be the same again. You don't really have the same sense of missing out because no matter the only way to ever see. I'm trying to think of one of the names of them. One of the names of the shows we saw.
Well, I mean, even this is not this time. It was the one that we saw live. It was called the Circle Line of Life.
Yeah, but okay. So let's just say that was the side of it. The only way out to see the Circle Line live
Is-
ever was to see it on that live stream.
It had to be there.
It had to be there. It had to be there, and that's it. So you don't. There's nothing you're missing out on. You either see it like this, or you don't see it at all.
Yeah.
And I think we watched the very first one, and I wasn't massively impressed. I thought they didn't. They hadn't. I felt they weren't quite comfortable with the streaming system yet.
Maybe it was the format.
But they really grew into it and they got
Yes.
more comfortable with it. And by the second kind of not series, but the second when they did the second sequence of shows, they were on it and they were back to their full again. They were obviously comfortable with the new method of doing things, and they put on some great shows. And they were
Yeah, it
very
was
funny
great,
and
yeah.
really enjoyable.
Yeah, we had a really good time, and it was nice to have a taste of the theatre again.
Yeah.
Even if in our living room. So
Yeah, so if they look, to be honest, I'd always recommend going to see Mischief Movie Night. If they do Mischief Movie Night again, be it during a lockdown or not, £10 for as many, and then for you to stream into your home, as many people in the home can watch it. Yeah, why not?
yeah,
Guys?
and I think it was such a great thing as well to be able to. Sometimes you think, oh, I have nothing to do this evening because obviously it's a lockdown and you never have anything to do. But when you really didn't, and you thought, oh, how can I make my evening a little bit nicer and more special? And you just kind of booked the ticket.
There's
I
no
don't know.
booking necessary. You have to book quite far in advance if you want to be a participant.
Yes.
But there's a couple of nights we were just like,
Let's just watch it now.
Juice night. It's nearly 8:00. Time for Mischief Movie Night. Do you want to watch Mischief Movie Night?
Yeah,
Cool.
we
Get
did.
some
Yeah,
snacks.
some impromptu Mischief movie night, which was good fun. Oh, movie night in. Yeah.
Sorry, but yeah. So
Yeah, it was great, and yeah. So thanks to Mischief Theater for doing that, because that
National
really
Theatre and
everyone who did
Show
that.
Must Go On, all great stuff that helped us through lockdown. But
It did.
thankfully, theatres are beginning to reopen.
So exciting!
So book your tickets, support the theatres, and let's start going to some shows again, guys.
Yay, shows!
Be your review restricted or not?
And turn off your phone when you get in the theater.
Please do.
Just say that. But yes, we're super excited, and I had to say that one more time. And that brings us to the end of our pilot episode, which is, as Chris said, British pilot.
British pilot, so the format will not change because we are far too lazy. And
But you know,
inexperienced.
it could change. It could change.
It could change. We already have some plans for what we want to talk about in our some of our
In the
upcoming
future.
episodes. We are going to have a review of some kind in the next episode.
Yes, and we'll let you know how we get on with the shows as well, with the things
We
that we
will.
go see,
Yeah.
and
Soon
other
we've seen it
things
by
we're
then.
more excited about. Yeah.
Gonna have some more tips for you. Gonna have some more brief chat about some news, and some another discussion section. Where hopefully you'll be able to get to know us a little bit better. But yeah, so thank you so much, everyone who stuck with us for the full hour and a bit.
Thanks, Mom. Why am I even saying? My mom can't speak
I was
English
about to
really,
say,
so
yeah, I
you know.
nearly said
But she
that.
will listen to it. She'll have it in the background,
I nearly said at the top of the video. I'm not sure what he said. Oh, she can speak a bit of English. She understands. Thanks.
and also she'll have it in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obrigado, mai. But yes, no, thanks so much for watching, guys. We hope you do enjoy it. And hope you check back in with episode 2 coming very soon.
Yeah. See you then.
Yeah, see you then, guys. For the time being, please remember, never book completely restricted view seats behind a pillar.
Double tip episode. Hey.
Bye.
Bye.